We only had one prop of that, and sand got in there. So as I was slapping it on me, I was getting a deep exfoliation because you can't take it out. Like, we couldn't really replace what was there. So not grimacing while I gave myself a sand scrub. That was something.
6 miles in. She's slowing down.
They don't want us to be heroes. They don't want us to be anything.
Jellyfish. She's gonna have to swim through.
Trudy, you don't have to do this.
Reading the script was the first time I was introduced to her. And Jeff Nathanson wrote it based on the book. So then I read the book by Glenn Stout. But there is not as much as one might believe there to be about someone that did something that was so monumental. I don't think I felt a pressure because I feel like it's so wonderful to be telling her story. If she was alive today, I would hope that she feels properly honored. But it was also an interesting role in that she is real, and what she was real and what she did was real. But because there isn't that much information, there was room for creative license, which was wonderful. So I would hope even the relationships and things that, you know, were imagined that we created, she would feel honored her in some way, but it really feels like a celebration of her.
The first thing that hit me, actually, when I read the script now, almost 10 years ago, it's taken us a while to get here and make this film and get it made, was that I didn't know the story. And I was baffled by that because it was such a huge event when it happened back in the day, like world event, and probably changing women's sports, you know, forever in some way. It had everything I look for in a story when I make a movie, you know. Obviously it's dramatic, but it's also, it has such a big heart. It's funny, it's scary, it's inspirational, you know. It was a story I really wanted to tell to my daughters and to a modern audience and put Trudy back on the map somehow.
It all started with Jeff Nathanson, who was a writer that we worked with on Pirates and a bunch of other things. And he was trying to find something for his daughters to watch, and he couldn't find anything. So he went to a used bookstore and found Young Woman in the Sea. He optioned it and brought it to us. He said, I'd like to get this made. We agreed. We thought it was fabulous. He wrote the screenplay. It took us 9 years for me to talk to you today to get this movie made. So it's a labor of love. We love it. We never give up. And this is the highest testing movie I've ever been involved in. So that's kind of was worth the 9 years.
I grew up by the ocean, and I'm drawn to the ocean, and I like stories, you know, on the ocean. And in this movie, and it's almost a little cliche to say that, but the ocean is a character, and it symbolizes, you know, her obstacles and what she has to overcome. I was very clear from the beginning that I wanted to shoot it on the ocean. I didn't want it to be in a tank or blue screen. I wanted it to be out there. Luckily, I found Daisy Ridley, and we were lucky to get her, and she was all in, you know. So because it was really hard.
She's fabulous. She was so helpful in the script and helped us casting in every part of the movie. She was a real asset to us. And she's here working with us today, and she was helpful in the edit of the movie. She was just phenomenal at what she does. Not only is she a brilliant actress, she's a great partner to have.
We talked about, like, with my amazing DP, Oscar Faura, and amazing production designer, Nora Ekberg. We all sat down very early and said we wanted to shoot this, you know, like, for lack of a better expression, like old school. You know, I wanted to make as much as possible in camera out there on the ocean, like they did, you know, and we're watching Jaws and like all, you know, the gold standard, in my opinion at least, for seafaring movies. That was like something, a challenge that we tried to live up to.
What was the most challenging scene to film? Because like when I watched you slapping that like jelly over you, I was like, I would hate to do that.
Well, that's also funny because we only had one prop of that, and sand got in there. So as I was slapping it on me, I was getting a deep exfoliation because you can't take it out. Like, we couldn't really replace what was there. So not grimacing while I gave myself a sand scrub. That was something. The most difficult scene to film. You know, there were lots of challenges as we were doing it. One of the films that was so wonderful, but difficult because I genuinely was so cold is the end of the swim. It's so many different things because it's the end of this feat. It's so celebratory, but she's also exhausted and freezing. So all of those things combined, and each time I really had to be in the sea, so I was properly shaking. But seeing this group of people on the beach was so beautiful. So the physical aspect of that was difficult, and the emotional was wonderful.
Any endeavor that, you know, involves a lot of people, and like you could build a bridge or, you know, or make a movie, it's always going to have, you know, challenges to it. But you put it on water, it kind of adds complexity to it. You have so many, you know, literally moving objects. So we have like a dozen boats, you know, camera boats and safety boats and picture boats and all of that stuff. And I put Daisy in the water, and it's 15, 16 degrees. She has no wetsuit on. She's super exposed. We're all exposed. You know, the currents, suddenly she's swept away, and like it's very stressful. And I think my biggest worry are like is the propellers and stuff like that, because we get close to her, you know, when we're shooting. I feel being out there somehow informed us a little bit like how it was for Trudy. I mean, we're not out there risking our lives, and you know, I'm on a boat in a big jacket, you know, so it's not like that. But I think it helped Daisy as well, how, you know, channeling Trudy Ederle, making her swim, even though it's just for a couple of minutes at the time. We're all out there, and I'm hoping that the audience can feel that somehow, you know, that we did it as real as we could.
You know, I like to tell stories about individuals who got lost in time and accomplished amazing feats. We've done it before with Glory Road, Remember the Titans, Veronica Guerin, Dangerous Minds, Black Hawk Down. Those are all individuals now that won't be forgotten because there's movies about them. And the same thing with Trudy. Trudy did an amazing thing. You see the real parade at the end of the movie. You can't believe she had the biggest parade in New York City for an athlete ever. That's 100 years ago. So you can just imagine how famous she was 100 years ago. And yet, I'd never heard of her.
The script was already beautiful, but I really wanted those relationships to be central in the film. I have always felt like this is a love letter between sisters and for families. And really, Meg and Trudy are both representative of two totally different places. Meg actually has to do what most women were doing then, which was listen to your parents, get married, start having children, essentially. And even though Trudy had to overcome so much, she still had freedom, really, in being able to try. And even their mum, the fact that she was another generation before and had grown up in a world that was not as accessible as it is now, she really feels radical because she did what she had to do in order so that her children could try.
I think it was 1,200 people died in a ferry accident in New York Sound, I think, or Long Island. And the mother said, my girls are going to learn how to swim. Because the people on that boat, all the women and children, were very close to shore. They could almost walk to shore. They were afraid of the water. So she said, my girls are going to swim. The father said, absolutely not. So she went out and got a job, made things so her kids could take swimming lessons. So it's this powerful family. It's a family dynamic where the father is the patriarch of the family. He only knows how to do things one way, and the mother realizes things have to change.
Those three women, I mean, everyone in it is amazing, but Tilda, who plays Meg, and Janetta, who plays my mum, just phenomenal. Doing the scenes with them, phenomenal. I think they're so phenomenal in the film. But yeah, it feels like a real honouring of them. And it felt, even at the end doing the swim, I was alone, but when I looked around me, I had my support team, and Siobhan, who trained me, and Shan, who did our hair and makeup design, and Alex, who was my costumer. So I felt that I had my support team behind me, and I feel in the film that Trudy does this amazing thing, but also we honour the support team that she had. I feel like it feels like a celebration of family, of swimming, of sport, of overcoming adversity. There's so much that I feel the film does that it just feels very positive.